what we would expect to see is an increase in volume on the downtick. A drop off in volume and then an increase in volume gives you your signal to start looking to buy into it. It's the same process over and over and over and over again. And as I was mentioned to Eric about target prices and various other things like that, you can see that this is the structure. You now know where the target price is. If that's the structure low and that's the structure high, do you see where the target price was? The confluence with that sell side order block area. And that gives you the perfect idea and the perfect excuse if you wanted to get short, or if you wanted just to close out your positions and take some easy money. There you go. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to show you this before you actually start using it for yourself, before you start seeing it for yourself. But if you don't get into the habit of doing it, you're never going to see it, are you? If you don't make this part of your habit, your daily habits of seeing these elements, it'll never become second nature for you. That buy trade at 55's traded 66s. It's over $500 per contract during that rally period there over 40 minutes. There is nothing surprising about it, is there? It's really just a very straightforward storyline, and a very good straightforward storyline at that. So it's up to you to recognize these elements. Now, obviously, if we were to add in the volatilities, there wasn't really anything to see just yet. It's quite early diddles on this. If we look at the sentiment line, you can see the sentiment was improving for this buy trade to come in. Another story, another reason why this was a very, very, very good looking buy opportunity. And obviously, when we hit into this high price, the sentiment had diverged on a short-term basis and on a macro basis, allowing me to sell not just to close, but to sell to get short off of that bearish order block structure high. Now, what do we not have up here? We don't have a trap high, do we? We don't have a trap sell. So the trap sell would obviously be above this price level, which was obviously something you'd then be watching for. You'd be saying, okay, well, I haven't had a trap sell, so there's a chance they may try and do that exact trade, right? There's a chance they may do that exact trade by running the stops, clearing out the top lines, and then taking it south. Well, of course there is. There's always a chance. But the point is, you know, they might not run the trap. They might not have enough buyers to run the trap. They might not get enough support to run the trap, and therefore it might never happen. So if you're always waiting on it happening, you might be sorely disappointed to miss out on some of the best trades in the business. It looks good. It feels good. It is good. It's a great trade. And you can see just by putting in structures, you've been able to recognize just how nice this story has been. And you know, it's about seeing all of these elements, isn't it? It's not about seeing just the structure. There's structure all over the charts, isn't there? There's always structure. You know, it doesn't mean every structure gives us a trade. It doesn't mean every value gives us a trade. It doesn't mean every high volume gives us a trade. What it does is if you've got structure, volume, they normally come together. Structure, volume, and value, now that's something that's unique, something that starts to give us elements that we can actually put real money trading into. Is it straightforward? I think it's straightforward. But you've got to find it straightforward. You've got to see these. You've got to have these elements on your screens. Otherwise, you're not ready to trade yet. You've got to know where the trap sell might be. You've got to know where the trap buy might be. You've got to know where the most recent order block is. You've got to know where the structure is. You've got to know where the imbalances are. You've got to know the basic key elements of trading before you start trading. Kind of straightforward, isn't it? We'll keep dissecting this, guys, because I think repetition on this is incredibly important. So we'll keep dissecting this as we go through the afternoon session. So we'll come in chatter today about Boris Johnson's resignation. So the Prime Minister resigning. You know, by all accounts, we can understand a little bit of what's going on in the background here. Obviously, there was 50 odd ministers resigned, and the camel the camel and straw, or the donkey and straw, whichever way you want to look at it, was basically the fact that he'd been told about an allegation regarding a minister, and he still promoted the minister even after he knew that. And it's that standards in government element that it was a mistake. It was a silly mistake, but it was that on top of all the other elements. And the idea is that, you know, whether they have an interim or whether they don't, or whether they do or whatever, it's, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, standards in government obviously it's important, and the breaking of those standards has been, unfortunately, working its way through the Johnson premiership since he came into office. As the standards, there's no denying the competency, I don't think, of the man himself. He is a vote winner per se, and he won a massive vote at the last general election against all the odds. And hey, you're still got to have standards in government. You've still got to have standards in government. Well, so they say, Paul. Although politics and standards, to me, don't sit particularly easily. You know, it seems as if the only people that are in politics are people who have no standards whatsoever. And as a result, the you know, standards in government seem to be, as I said, it seems to be almost a contradiction between politicians and standards, doesn't it? They're usually got the Napoleon syndrome, that type of idea, you know. So, as I said, it is what it is. It'll be interesting to see the bookmakers have a chap called Ben Wallace as the potential replacement. I think that would be reasonable, and Ben Wallace, very competent MP for a change, and not particularly the most charismatic individual, I don't think, in the world, and may find it difficult to replicate Johnson's the impact that Johnson has. So we'll see what happens, guys.